Hey programmers, welcome back to another episode of the Forgotten Flutter Show. This is Vishal and today I'm going to talk about the StreamBuilder class. So consider you are building a real-time application that needs to be updated based on some events occurring on the server side. The server is going to send these events in a stream. You need to capture that stream and you need to decode the data and show it to the user. We use the StreamBuilder class for that. It is a widget that builds itself based on the latest snapshot of interaction with a stream. Definitely we have a stream and we have something called as a snapshot. So what is a snapshot? It is kind of a data or new data that we are getting from this stream. We take this data or snapshot from the stream, we process it and build the widgets accordingly in our UI. I would recommend you to go through this documentation as they have an amazing example over here to explain you all about StreamBuilder. Let's go back to Android Studio and see some examples. So this is the application that we are going to build today. It is a simple application that keeps track of your score in a certain game, which awards you 10, 20 or 30 points. Your score will be shown right over here, and just below the score you can see that there is something called as status, which is connection state.waiting. That means the input stream is waiting for some input from the server. But here, instead of getting the input from the server, we are going to send the inputs by clicking on these buttons. So if I click on 10, the connection state is now active and 10 is added to the final score. If I click on 30, another 30 will get added to 10 and the final score is 40. The connection state is still active, which means the listener is listening to the incoming events. When the game is over, I will click on close connection to close the stream, and now the connection state is done. And now if I click on any of these buttons, it will say cannot add scores to the closed stream. And this is my final score. Let's start coding it. I have already written the code for the UI to save us some time, which you can find in the link in the description below. So I will just quickly explain you the code over here. So this is our my app, which contains the material app widget. Then we have the homepage class, which is a stateful widget. Then I have the text label over here, that is the my score. Then I have a row of 3 buttons. The score selection buttons is another stateless widget defined right below. So this is the score selection buttons, which is a stateless widget, and it handles all the design, on press and color part of it. We have the score widget, which will appear over here with our scores. It will also display the status that we saw a few seconds back. We have a button for closing the connection. So that's about the UI for now. Let's get started with setting up the stream. For that, I'm going to create a stream controller. It is going to take integer values and it will be a nullable. Also, I will require a stream, which is also going to be integer, nullable. Next, I want some variable to hold the score. So I'm going to define int score equal to 0. Next, I'm going to initialize our stream controller as well as the stream. For that, I'm going to hold Ctrl plus O to bring this pop-up. I will search for init and bring up the init state method. First, I'm going to initialize the stream controller. Next, I'm going to initialize the stream. So the stream is going to be streamcontroller.stream. So once I create the stream, it is also important to dispose of the streams to prevent memory leaks. So I'm going to define another method, that is the dispose, and I'm going to say streamcontroller.close and then call the super.dispose method. So we have successfully set up the stream. Let's go and build the UI. So we want the score to be shown under here, just below the my score text widget. So here I'm going to write StreamBuilder. The builder is going to be context comma snapshot. So it takes a function which has 2 parameters, build context as well as a asynchronous snapshot. I will also need to define the stream, which is our underscore stream, and this is going to be a async function. Inside this, let's check if the snapshot has data or it has error. There can be 2 conditions, either the snapshot has error or the snapshot has data. So let's check for errors. So if snapshot dot has error, we are going to show a error widget, that is return constant center widget, and side is going to be a text widget which says error. This is important because the stream can have some errors, especially if it is an online application. If there is some error on the server side or there is some error regarding the connections, we are going to get some errors. So we need to handle those properly. Okay, we don't need this thing to be asynchronous. This is a build function. Build functions need not be asynchronous. So if we don't have error, we are going to run a switch case statement. So switch, and that is going to be snapshot dot connection state, and it will automatically prompt you to add the missing clauses. So just click on add missing case clauses and we get these cases: connection state dot none, waiting, active, and done. The connection state is none when the connection has not yet been established. So in that case, what we are going to do is we are just going to say score widget. Actually, we are going to return the score widget. The state would be the snapshot.connection state and the value would be the score. We can safely copy this thing everywhere. That's because for every state we need to show the score widget. The only thing changing over here is the score as well as the connection state. Let's see the score widget in detail. The score widget has two parameters, the connection state as well as the value. The value we are going to show just below the my score, and below the score we are going to show the status, which is going to show the state. So that's how the score widget function is working. Let's get back over here. So when the connection is active, we are actually incrementing the score. So we have score plus equal to, and we have score stored in snapshot.data. So this is where we have our data and we need to cast that as an integer. This is because we are sending integer values from these buttons. So we need to cast the data to integer in order to add it to the score. So casting is going to depend on the type of data that you are receiving from the server. So that's about the StreamBuilder, and now you can see over here we have score as 0 and we have connection state dot none, which means the connection has not yet been established. Let's give some functionality to our buttons. To add some data to the stream, we are going to say StreamController dot add and we are going to pass the value, that is 10. I'm going to copy the same thing to next button and set to 20. Similarly for the last button. And finally, to close the connection, I'm going to call StreamController.close. Let's test this application, and for that I'm going to hot restart the application. That's because we need to initialize the stream controller using the init state, which is not run in case of hot reload. So as soon as I have restarted the application, you can see the connection state as waiting. So it is now just waiting for some kind of input. So let's click on 10. The connection state has now changed to active and 10 has been added to the score. 20, 30. So its behavior is as expected. Let's close the connection. And now the connection state is done. So once we close the connection, we should not be able to add anything to our score. Let's click on 20. Nothing happened. Cool. That is what we expected. But if we see the terminal, we are getting some errors. So it says bad state, cannot add event after closing. Let's handle this exception. So back in the buttons, let's add a try statement. And inside the try block, we are going to try to add 10. And we are going to catch some kind of exception and show a snack bar. So for snack bar, we are going to say scaffold messenger dot context dot show snack bar, and that is going to be snack bar. The content is going to be constant text, cannot add values to closed string. Okay, now let's reload this application, and when I click on 10, it says cannot add values to closed string, which is what we expected. So the stream builder is a widget that takes an input stream from an online resource or an offline resource, and based on the events that it receives, it updates the state of our application. So that is all about the stream builder class. I would highly recommend you to go back to the documentation, read it, see the example, and try it yourself. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to Forgotten Programmer, keep coding, and I will see you in the next episode.